Hi, Kevin Kunde here with my final project for Dr. Bliven's biomechanics class. We'll be exploring the pole vault. First, we're going to take a look at two different videos. We'll see Ashton Eaton from the 2008 Olympic trials, and then Sergey Bubka, a world record pole vaulter with a world record that he set in 1994. So here we have Ashton Eaton's vault, and then we'll move on to Sergey Bubka's next with a 1994 vault that he took and where he set a world record. And this record was recently broken earlier this year. Can't remember by who, but pretty impressive. Next, this is the video that we'll analyze later. A colleague of mine still competes in the pole vault and was kind enough to take some time to walk me through the vault and talk about some key aspects of that. So we're going to talk about some different technical aspects of the vault, spend some time discussing how the pole itself is similar to tendons, especially as it relates to strain deformation, and we'll break down Scott's vault and spend some time analyzing that. So Freer et al. Suggested that 7 phases of the vault exist. These phases are the run-up, transition, takeoff, swing phase, the rock back, inversion position, and bar clearance. Essentially, this can be broken down into 4 different phases: the run-up, takeoff, pole support with maximum pole bend, and free flight / bar clearance portion. The authors they have acknowledged that minimal evidence has been published related to fundamental principles of the vault, and so there's still a lot of research left to be performed in this region. The first part of the vault involves sprinting. Maximal horizontal velocity is the goal. It's similar to sprinting in the sense that stride rate and length are the key factors here. The big difference is that carrying a pole is rather difficult. The pole itself will change the vaulter's center of gravity and can also lead to less recovery time during the swing phase of gait, earlier foot strike, and then restricted arm swing will cause less efficient running. To improve sprint velocity with the pole, core strength, and especially upper body strength to minimize the effects of the pole jostling around will be important. And then increasing horizontal velocity through either stride rate and or length without negatively influencing other aspects of the technique would be hugely important. Here, we'll spend more time talking about this later on, but pole deformation, this is the key way that the vaulter propels himself up over the bar. Strain energy is important. McGinnis does a really good job discussing this in the text, and I'll get to that point a little bit later. But the pole deformation, most poles nowadays are made out of fiberglass and or carbon, which allow for more bend than poles previously did. The bending takes potential energy, stores it up, transfers it back to the vaulter in the form of mechanical energy, which increases their height, hopefully, and then they'll hopefully be able to safely clear the bar without knocking it down. Increased ground contact time, according to Morlier and Messner in 2007, allows for greater pole deformation and energy transfer. So later on, we're not going to really spend too much time here, but wind and altitude can play a role. A falling wind, according to Linthorne and Wheatman in 2012, suggest the effects of wind can reduce aerodynamic drag, which will allow for a faster sprint speed, which does lead to increased horizontal performance. And then sex differences between men and women. Shade, Armpatsis, Brugman, and Comey in 2004 published an article exploring similarities and differences between men and women from the 2000 Sydney Olympic Games. They concluded that men are able to transfer more energy to the pole, but that, interestingly enough, the time parameters of the aspects of the vault were the same. So Shade et al. Concluded that calculating the strain energy of the pole would be really helpful in determining the energy exchange during the pole vault. And as you can see here, the pole is similar to tendons. The pole stores elastic energy. Greater stretch leads to greater force exchange. Too much energy leads to plastic changes. You can either see the pole break, or in the case of a tendon, tendons can rupture. McGinnis does a really good job in the text of discussing the stress-strain curve, so I'd highly encourage you to take a look at that. Here's Scott's vault in slow motion. We're going to jump ahead to further parts of this right here and take a look especially at his hands here. We'll dive into this a little bit more here in a moment. But here's the pole plant, touchdown, transition to the inversion position, and then bar clearance. Excellent. So now we're going to move on to looking at that vault in a little bit slower motion. Key aspects of the vault right here. Early on, you can see a large amount of movement in his hands. So what he's doing is taking a lot of energy and trying to stabilize his body because of the changing center of gravity. That's spending more energy than he needs to. Here at touch down, what you can see is the pole starts to bend before his feet leaves the ground. He's losing some energy because of that. Right here, if we back up a little bit, he has a pretty plumb line from the top of his hand to the bottom of his foot, which is good. The contact with the box is excellent. As you can see, the pole starts to bend. You can also note there's a small inverted C position, regular C position in his back hand, his trunk, and then his leg. That's the way that the body stores the energy, similar to how the pole bends and stores the energy. One thing to keep in mind right here is called the chord, which is the straight line between the top of the pole and the bottom of the pole. Ideally, he would stay fairly straight in that line that the cord runs, and you can see his backhand, his trunk, and his leg are mostly in that line. Ideally, his front hand would be extended rather than having the elbow flexed, and we'll see how that comes into play later on. Right here, his body does start to go in front of the cord line, which will be important shortly here in a moment. The most important part here is moving into the inversion position. Scott described it to me as kind of pulling up your pants, and as you can see, he still is in front of the cord, which here, instead of coming off the top of the pole and using the top hand as a fulcrum, he actually leaves the pole on the front end of it. He termed that flagging, and you can kind of see he looks like a flag right there hanging off the front of the pole. So we'll see that portion one more time. He clears the pole, drops back down, completes the vault. Nicely done, Scott. We'll watch that one more time in real time, and then we'll wrap things up. Excellent. So to conclude, potential energy is transferred into the pole where it stores it. It's then transferred back into mechanical energy into the vaulter, where they will hopefully safely clear the bar. And I skipped that. Let's go back to my references. And thank you for your time.